my life wasn't always this way, and I wasn't always this way.
That's what I'd love to hear about. So what is it, before we get into any more, kind of practical technology and stuff, what's been the journey that's brought you to the man that you are, and this whole philosophy that you've been sharing with us, which is just so beautiful? Because you were London originally?
In the Midlands,
in the
Lake District.
Okay. And then there was Australia, and there's Vietnam, and there's a whole bunch of... Tell us a little bit about, the key turning points on the journey, or the moments of realization when you kind of had some distinctions, or, give us some background on that brings you to this way of being, so that we can kind of, get a sense of that and can relate to that.
Well, without regurgitating all my past and boring everybody, and you.
What's the good bits?
Born on the farm in England, raised on the farm in England, in a very organic way that was before organic was even in the dictionary, I think.
Well, before the chemicals were
my parents grew beautiful vegetables. We were almost self-sufficient. We had no electricity, and we had no running water, so we had to pump water from a well, and we used paraffin lights, and we raised goats and ducks and pigs, and it was in the middle of this huge big farm. There was a manor house, and we were in the secondary house. And my parents were both pacifists. They wanted to some degree remove themselves not from society but from city living. And so we were on this remote farm, and it was building dams and catching tadpoles. And I had a dog running free in the fields and along the canals and in the woods, and I'd bring my mum a big armful of flowers, wildflowers, and it was a beautiful childhood, just filled with imagination and freedom. And my parents allowed me to just go. I'd disappear on the weekends and all day and come back when I was hungry. Then you would be okay. So, and they were both pacifists, so it was a very peaceful, harmonious family. And one of the catalysts for me was that I was sexually abused by a pedophile uncle when I was 5. We were on holidays. And those circumstances stuck with me for about 30 odd years. It took me 30 years to purge that traumatic experience. But shortly after that, a few years after that, we migrated to Perth in Australia. And there was 9 months of good weather. England wasn't famous for its good weather. There were beaches. It was an outdoor life. There was so much more to discover. And it was a haven for a young boy, young English boy, to experience this, all that you could do outside in good weather. Surfing, motor racing, chasing girls and drinking beer in the true Australian style, sleeping on the beach.
Sounds like you fit right in.
Yes, yeah. And that came sort of to an abrupt halt when I turned 20.
Okay.
And the Vietnam War was on, and the draft was by a lottery. And I often tell people...
Hang on a minute, I mean, my maths isn't fantastic, but Vietnam, 20...
I turned 70 this year. This is a milestone year for me.
Congratulations. And, I mean, just looking at your face, looking at your eyes, looking at the energy in your body, I'm interested to hear more about this level of vitality and energy and health and vibrance that you've got. And I would definitely come back to that because I know a lot of 70-year-olds, and I don't know I don't know a lot of 70-year-olds. I know some, and I don't know many, and certainly my grandparents when they were that age didn't have that level of health and vitality and energy that you've got now. We're going to hear some more about that too. I really want to honor and acknowledge. I'm shocked. It's amazing.
So I was faced with a choice of either going to the war in Vietnam, a place that I could barely pinpoint on the map in those days, or spending 2 years in a jail in Victoria as a conscientious objector. And my parents never interfered. I know what they would have, what their choice would have been as pacifist, staunch pacifist. And they never interfered or intervened in any way. They allowed me to make that choice. And for me, it was it wasn't that difficult, because what 20-year-old kid wants to rot away in some jail for a
2
belief
years is a
system?
tenth of your life,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Today I would do it at a drop of a hat.
Wow.
I would never ever engage in war.
Wow.
Never. So it was a good lesson. So now I find myself from this beautiful environment, living in Perth, beautiful parents, in the witnessing and contributing to the absolute insanity and inhumanity to man. And it's indescribable for anybody that hasn't been in the theatre of war. It's indescribable, because you're in a state of fear 360 days a year. Right? Every moment your life is being threatened. Right? And you learn to live with that, and you have to rise above that fear. And I did. I finished up being a section commander. I had 16 guys under me, and I was leading them, and for 9 months I was working as a team with them, and we managed to go fairly unscathed. There were some injuries, and we lost some people. And I put up with that for 9 months, and then I broke with a letter from my wife at the time, who had just said, I'm leaving you, I'm going off with a guy somewhere else.
Oh,
And to this day I never saw her again.
wow.
Yeah, and that night I was just so traumatized that I took my rifle, sat outside, and just put the rifle butt on the ground and the barrel against my head, and I pressed the trigger on the first part of the trigger. And all I needed was about a millimeter to blow my brains away. I'd gone that far south. I could not see of a logical solution to this situation. So much pain, so much suffering, so much grief, so much loss, so much insanity, just bombarded. Remember, a 20-year-old kid, you know? We're not equipped with the world's best in life solutions, and that was one. That's how far south again. Needless to say, I'm still sitting here and I don't have a hole in my head.
Yeah.
Well, one of my mates came out of the tent. We were out in the boonies, and it was a bright moonlit night. Where I was in a little clearing, and he saw me sitting there, and he could see what I was contemplating.
Sure.
And he, calm as a cucumber, he just sits next to me, opposite me, and looks me in the face,
Wow.
and says, "How long you been here?" And I said, through the tears and grief, I said, about 20 minutes. And he leant over, he took the rifle, he ejected the bullet, put it down, and said, "I know you, Pursell. If you were going to do this, you've kept us alive for 9 months. If you were going to do this, you would have done it 20 minutes ago." And he was right. He was right. And in that moment, we just stood up and hugged and cursed the Australian government and the American government and Vietnamese government. Of course, I had no inkling that I had manufactured that scenario at a core level, to experience the difference between peace and harmony and the insanity of war.
Wow.
And I got the yin-yang balance there.
Yeah, big time.
Which, and then the next few days I contemplated what I was doing. Wow, that was really close to the edge there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be better to find out about life first? And then if you don't like it, do something about it? But you're still wet behind the ears, kids. You're 20. Find out about life. And that was my wake up. That was the universe whacking me over the head with the baseball bat. Wake up.
Goosebumps.
Wake up. And so that catharsis and that catalytic moment of realizing I need to understand who I am. I need to understand about life. Where did I come from? What is my purpose in life? What am I to do? What is the meaning of life? And that was the big wake-up call. And since that day in that jungle clearing, I have done nothing but pursue the understanding of life, of people, my own psyche, the psyche of other people, the emotions. And it's led me to this place now where I run retreats, and I'm a spiritual coach, a life coach, and a business coach.
Wow.
And so I look back at that now as being one of the most profound moments in my life. And I wouldn't change it for anything. If I had the opportunity to change my life, I wouldn't change that. And I've been back to Vietnam 5 times. I've encouraged Vietnam vets, go back there and purge these demons.
Wow.
I even walked into an ex-Viet Cong village and met people that were actually, we were fighting against in various places in Vietnam.
Wow.
And just embraced them. And stood there embracing this one man, and we just had tears running down our eyes. And this was supposedly the enemy's village, but they were my family. We were all brothers and sisters. So I've had some profound moments that have reinforced this actual event back then. And then it's just been a process of learning about life and sharing it. And it's been an amazing life.
Extraordinary.
It really has. And one that I cherish. I wouldn't change anything. And I actually believe the best is yet to come.
Wow.
I really believe that.